Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and today we're going to learn about auto tag agencies, specifically with Ilena Martinez de Castro. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right,
for having me.
Airways Auto Tag Agency, that's yours, and it's been in your family for a long time. So tell us about, number one, why you got in it, and tell us about your journey.
Well, we've had this for 21 years, but my mother started working at Airways Auto Tag back in 1963.
When we were just kids.
Yeah, and she was the driver. She was just a driver there, and as time went on, they realized that she had brains and that she could type and that she could speak English. So they brought her inside, and she became a very valuable employer. Through the years, when the owners decided to sell, they called her and sold it to her and I. So even though it's been in business since 1946, we acquired it in 2001.
So people frequently are not sure what an auto tag agency does, with the exception of, I think I bought a car, all right, now what do I do? So
Exactly.
Right? People are sort of confused. What do I need?
Exactly. If you buy it at the dealer, it's different because they do pretty much everything for you. But if you buy it from another person, then you have to go to the tag agency, do the transfer, and you have to bring your insurance and get a new tag or transfer a tag. Or if somebody dies, you have to bring the will in order to do something with that vehicle. If it's a boat, you have to do the same thing. If it's a motorcycle.
So how do you handle the guy or gal that's all frustrated because they're not used to all the things that they need? So tell us about the patience that your staff has. And by the way, can we put up their website address?
Yes, you do. You have to have a lot of patience because I understand. If you go to a restaurant, you go there because you want to. If you go to a spa, you go there because you want to. But when you go to a tag agency, you go there because you have no choice. And you're already not in the mood. So they're telling you have to spend all this money on something you don't understand and ask you for all these documents that you may or may not have. It gets you very frustrated. So you really have to learn how to deal with them and be very empathetic because we are. I mean, everybody's been on the other side. And we try to write down what you're going to need when you come back so that you don't forget and stuff like that. But it is very, very, very difficult.
So the rates that you charge, those are set by the state.
Yes.
So what special things do you do so that people go, I'm coming back as an auto dealer, or make a referral so that the person is saying, I'm going there the first time because they were nearby in Doral, all right? And then the second is, I like the service, so when my wife gets the car, I know where I'm going to go back.
Exactly.
So
it's like I tell the employees, look, we do everything everybody else does. You know, the difference between us and them is that we're going to be nice, we're going to be courteous, we're going to try to help you. We're not going to make you feel like, oh my God, they're so stupid, they don't know what they're doing, or something like that. We don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. The ambiance is very nice in this new agency. And we do other services because there are people in the artist sports that don't want to stand in line with everybody else because they don't want to be bothered with give me your autograph, let me take your picture, blah, blah, blah. So we do special appointments for them so that they come in through another door and do the same thing and they just leave. They don't have to. And I got this idea from New York. New York has that. They don't have it here. That if you do this kind of thing, that you don't want to be bothered with pictures and people asking you, are you so-and-so? You can make an appointment and go else.
Sort of like concierge service at the doctor.
Exactly.
So
do that.
The big price cost is that people have to pay sales tax on the car. I know that frequently when I was younger, I'd say, okay, I got that 1965 car, and I'd put the value at like 20% of what it was.
That can't happen anymore.
Do the statute of limitations run? So tell us about how that works so people won't do silly things. Well,
you're supposed to tell us how much you paid or have a bill of sale if you're coming from out of state. You don't need it unless you're coming from out of state, a bill of sale. But you are the one that tells us, or the owner is supposed to write it on the title, how much he sold the car for. Once he writes that on the title, you're going to have to pay taxes on that.
And is that state sales tax?
State, yeah, it's 6%, and Dade County 7%. If you live in Dade County, it varies the counties if they have a surtax or not, but otherwise it's just 6%. The state is 6. The first $5,000, it's 7%. The rest is 6%.
So let's talk about the consumer like myself that hasn't done it in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in, I go, hey, here I am. What do I need? All right. Mm-hmm. And after waiting in line for a few minutes, and then the list starts. Your staff must have real patience, because when we get into positions that we don't like, especially when it's costing more than what we think, and thinking we're going to have to go back later and to redo that. So how do you keep the customer calm, right, and staff relevant in there so that they can keep the customer happy so they'll come back? What training do you give these people?
Well, to begin with, I always tell the tellers that you deal with them, you try to be nice, and you try to explain things. If things get out of hand and they get very, sometimes they get a little rowdy and stuff like that, don't say anything else, just come back and call me. And then I come back and I speak to whoever it is. We do pick up the phone, which is very rare for tag agencies. They usually don't pick up the phone. So if they have any questions before they come, as to what should I take, and do you do this or do you do that, we do tell them before they come, because I hate talking to machines, and I hate having somebody. So it's important for me for someone to be there to answer their questions.
So on your website, if we can put that up again, it goes over what you need when you walk in the door, so you can accomplish that.
Right.
And so I think that's really important in today's time, and be able to answer the phone, be able to talk to somebody, so there's that conversation going back and forth. Because as we've learned, you can text all you want and you can send emails, but there's nothing like
a conversation,
right? So we can sort of pick on that. So I understand that you also provide tag services to local car dealerships. Tell us what that's like, and why those car dealerships, many of them have been with you for a long time, keep coming back to you.
We do delivery. We give them very good service. I mean, personal service. Besides that, the dealers that do use the new system the state has, that they give their own tags to their customers, they still have to deal with a tag agency or a tax collector in order to do the report that goes to the county. To the state. So we do a lot of those as well, the ones that do the new program. But the smaller ones that come to our office all the time, they usually have a person they deal with all the time. Whether they do their work that day or not, doesn't matter. But they have one person that's dedicated to them.
Inside your shop.
Yeah. That's dedicated to them, that's going to answer the questions, that's going to... Some of them, they call them at all hours just to find out, is my work ready? Can I come by and pick it up? And blah, blah, blah. Is somebody going to deliver? So we have that. Like I said, the important thing between you and the customer is that you make them feel what they are. They're special, because without them, we don't have a business.
So, Ilena, you've been doing this now for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So tell us some of the changes that have occurred so far with you, and what it looks like some other changes that might happen.
Changes with me or with?
No, in the industry.
Oh my gosh, a lot of changes are going on. They just closed the last meeting legislation, and they passed a bunch of stuff that we don't even know about yet. So I'm sure that's going to affect you and me and everybody else.
Which goes in effect in July.
Exactly. So I don't know exactly how it's going to affect us. I don't know exactly how it's going to run. We're supposed to be getting a lot more work, perhaps, because they're closing down the driver's license offices. And they're giving it to the county.
Why are they closing them?
Well, the state has decided to give them to the counties.
You mean the tag agencies?
No.
I'm sorry, the driver's license.
The driver's license. Yeah, because they're just, I guess, overwhelmed. If you think about it, the state is paying salaries, workers' comp, blah, 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 everything. And still they have to worry about all these employees. So they're going to shift and give them to the counties. What the counties do with that it's up to them whether they want to give them to the tag agency or whether they want to do it themselves. That's entirely their choice. As far as Miami-Dade County is concerned, the reason why there's privately owned tag agencies, which used to be the only county that had them in this everywhere, it was because the county was so big and people couldn't drive downtown all the time to get their stuff done. So they were allowed to have privately owned tag agencies. That has already happened in Broward and I don't know what other counties, but it used to be specifically the first county that had them was Dade. So, because if you think about it, the county's making the same amount of money. The state is making the same amount of money. They allow us to charge X amount of money for our work, period. But they don't have to pay for anything else, no overhead.
So let's talk about custom license plates. What do they call those? What's the word?
Personalized.
Personalized.
Yeah.
If somebody wants one, what's the process?
Well, they can either come to the office or they can go online or they can call us and to see if what they want, the name they want, and the amount of letters they want is available. Because if you have that specialized tag, they can't get it. So we got to look it up. You have 3 choices to see if this one, or this one. A lot of people go online and look it up first, then they contact us and we order for them.
You mean it could be one tag, their letters or their numbers, just custom.
Exactly.
That's theirs forever.
Exactly. Well, yeah, pretty much. And you pay obviously more for this. There's 2 kinds. You have the specialty tag, which is the Dolphins, whatever. And then you have the personalized tag, which you can have both together. So if you have a personalized tag that's a tag, then you have 2 things going on, 2 prices, different prices going on. So, but you have to order them.
And I saw the video of your store,
yes,
office.
It's pretty nice.
Beautiful.
It's
Your
nice.
customers must like that when they walk in, because the impression that I know a lot of people have was like, it was like the driver's license bureau is like, who wants to be here? Yeah. But it's very nice colors in there and nice windows, nice atmosphere. And
I think it's important. Right. It's important for not just the customers. It's important for the people that work there to feel comfortable, to feel like they're in a place where they're appreciated, and that's gonna go through to the customer. Because if I'm uncomfortable and I don't feel well and I think this is a dump, I'm not gonna treat this person in front of me as nice as I would otherwise. Yes. So I've tried to make it the environment as comfortable for the customer as it is for the people that work there. Both visual, everything.
In the building field, they have their processes. You can hire a processor that'll take all your files and take it to the court. I mean, to the zoning, and they go through it and they'll get it stamped for you. Is there such a thing like that in this field?
Yes, we have to take the work that we do a couple of times a week to the county. The county then processes their part and forward it on to the state. So, and some things we keep. They're not being as paper conscious as it used to be, but we're supposed to have them available. So we scan everything that stays in the office as well. And then because it used to be that you kept the papers and there were boxes and boxes, I mean, it got to the point where you didn't know where you're going to put all these papers. You had to keep them for like 5 years. But it's gotten a lot better, and we do have to deal with whatever rules, regulations, they're in the manual. The state gives you a set of rules, and any county can add to that. They can't take anything away, but they can add.
So is it the state or county law that's, it must be the state law. Is there a state law that says an individual can only own a certain number of agencies? Actually,
it's a county law.
County law.
They can. It used to be they could own more than one family. It used to be, because there are people right now that own a couple of tag agencies that are husband and wife and stuff like that. But at a certain point, they stopped doing that, and now you can't. You can only own one, and it has to be in an area where there's X amount of miles between you and the other one. And like Doral didn't have one. So I put in a letter, I think it was in 2007, for Doral, and I was approved. But then 2008, everything went to pots with real estate, couldn't find a place, and it wasn't until 2019 that we were able to find a building.
And why does the county have that rule?
They have that.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know. I guess is the state has given them that kind of authority for them to manipulate what happens in their own county. Now, next, I think is November that they're having an election for a tax collector.
Yes.
There has never been an election for tax collector. This is new. They were always appointed. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen.
Okay, so I know that your son is nearby, all right? Mm-hmm. And maybe one day he might be over there at that store. Not anytime soon.
I hope so.
All right. We certainly understand about family businesses. I do want to do a shout out to Van Orsdale Funeral Homes, 4th generation business, 100 years old. Also to Ferry's Hardware and Lighting, 100 years. And so getting to that next generation, that's 4th generation on both, I know is difficult. I'm 2nd generation.
I'm 2nd generation.
All right. And you go, all right, well, what's next? All right.
Yeah.
And when I try to explain to my children, this is it. Unless you're going to do it, something happens. And certainly when I explain to them, what am I doing this for? All right. Exactly. And so what keeps you, Ilena, going to the office and working and making this a success?
Well, I'm kind of a late bloomer because I raised my children at home. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom. And for a long time, my husband was always the one that went out and worked. And then my mother, who was always the one that went out and worked, I mean, she was always very professional, was the one that was in the tag agency business. And then when we were allowed to purchase this one, I just went in with her. I knew nothing. I'm an insurance agent, actually. And I knew nothing about this business. It was really, really hard to get it off the ground for me. It wasn't anything for her because she was doing the same thing she'd been doing for years. But for me, I mean, I had never paid a bill. I'd never paid my bills. My husband paid the bills. So it's been very hard. But then again, it's very rewarding because the children are grown. I mean, it's not like I have to come home running to do homework or do anything else. So I'm really enjoying it. It's not, maybe I'm at the age where most people are retiring, and I don't feel it. I think my mother stopped going to the office because of the pandemic, and she's in her 90s.
Tell her to go back to work already.
I know. No, now she had a stroke, so she can't go as she could have. But she would love to. She tells me every day, are you very busy? If you need help, let me know. And I go, sure, I'll let you know. But, I think people should retire when they're ready, not when they're at a certain age.
So what is it like for you when you see somebody goes in and they're frustrated? You can see them because you're watching them. And then after about 15 minutes, they have this big smile on their face. And they got the whole thing in there and they're cheering it on that they made it through. What's that like for you and for your staff?
It makes me and them feel very accomplished because for that one person, that was the big deal. It's like everything else in life. Your problem is the biggest problem there is because it's yours. So if you were able to help them and guide them in the right direction and tell them maybe this is not a good idea or that's not a good idea, maybe you should have more paperwork on this. The ones that are really touchy are the ones where there's a will. And they have to go through court and they have to go through all these things and they want to go, hey, listen, I'm the executor. I want to buy this car. Executor doesn't mean you get to get this car. It just means they have no idea what the wills are, So it's very difficult to explain this to people because they figure you don't know anything because you're not an attorney. But you do learn these things. And usually they can't do stuff like that.
And you have this calm demeanor. So it must be very settling for people when you talk to them and just help them see the other side of that.
I hope so. I explain to them, you go back and do this and do that. And we also have a lot of people that come in that you go, not in this location so much, but in the old location that were like having major problems, personal problems. And all they need is one little grain of salt for them to blow up. okay? And you could be that grain, you know? It's just like, you know, I can't pay my rent, I got this, I got that, and on top of that, I have this, and they go off on you. They literally go off on you. Bad words, everything. They curse.
And you're just almost an innocent bystander to their grief.
Right. Well, actually, the tellers are. And then when they come back and call me in, by the time, I don't know what happens, by the time they come back and get me, that I get up there, they kind of like settle down, you know, because I want to help you. And I can't help you if you're cursing. If you got to curse, you're going to have to leave.
So you've been successful in your life, and I'm sure there's some people that helped you along your way, maybe from the time you were little. And one of the things that I'd like to do, if you're interested, is for you perhaps to thank some of those people. If you want to do it by name, you could do that, if you know. And
Well,
if you want to do it, I'm not forcing you to do it, but it would be good. You just look right in this camera over here. There we go. So
Okay.
talk right into the camera.
I obviously want to thank my mother. She's the one that got me into this. Her name is Maria Estela Acion. And my husband, Orlando Martinez de Castro, who has been extremely patient. He's not used to not being working, and now he's the one that stays at home. So he's been very good. And my children, they have been very, very, very supportive of me. Orlando, Christy, they're always calling me, do you need anything? Can I help you with anything? And I have an incredible staff of people that not only care about their business, but they care about me. Whether I eat, I don't eat, if I don't feel well, there's like, it's more like a family type of thing. So I don't think I could have ever done it without all these people I've mentioned, especially my mom. But I do hope that someone in my family carries on the business, because it wasn't a big deal for me when my mother went in. I mean, I didn't care about the business. I didn't know anything about the business, but I did it for her. And in the process of doing something for someone you love, it becomes something special for you. And I'm sure you understand.
Yes.
You don't realize it until you start, because it takes on a different personality. So I hope either my children or my grandchildren are interested in the business. I'd hate for it to go to a stranger. And I think that's why the previous owner called my mom, because she wasn't a stranger. And she knew, she loved it. So she called her and sold it to her. So hopefully it'll happen with me with my kids.
Ilena, thank you so much for being here. Continued success to you and to your family and to the guy that doesn't work anymore at home. So again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well done. And Orlando, thank you for being here. And Alex, thank you for producing the show, folks. Remember, take care of yourselves out there. Bye.